You know there's two officers with rifles just parked out by the
I know my kids.
Okay. Is there a reason for that, Chief? What's going on there? I thought it was kind of an awesome look. I thought it was a good look, just turn around and see two officers with rifles. Okay, for the prayer, please. Okay. Janelle, roll call, please.
Mr. Fenstermaker.
Here.
Ms. Grazia.
Here.
Mr. Hamer. Mr. Schultz.
Here.
Mr. Smolik.
Here.
Ms. Simons.
Here.
Mr. Ziegler.
Here.
Okay, on to department reports. Chief Hutton.
Thank you, Mr. Smolik. Our monthly report was sent out. You should all have that. On another note, today we picked up our new ATV. We still have modifications to do to it, but it looks great. And when it's all done, we'll bring it down to a meeting and show you guys. So thank you very much to Kirtland Kiwanis and other donors that contributed toward that. Other than that, I'm open for any questions.
Questions for the chief? What kind of modifications you getting done on it, Chief?
Just setting it up for EMS and fire response. We're going to put the new Stokes basket. Everything will fit in for rescue. It'll be actually a perfect fit. And then for fire, we'll have to put a small tank and pump and all that onto it.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief, anything with the 4th of July? Everything good with the fireworks?
Really no issues at all from our end. I don't believe, and Chief McAllister can talk about, the police end, but really nothing. It was pretty quiet.
Thank you, Chief. Any other questions for Chief Hutton? Thanks, Chief. Chief McAllister.
For the record, she asked me, which said the policeman had shoot guns. So.
Thank you, Council President Smolik. Just have 4 things tonight. The departmental reports were sent out. In terms of fireworks, we had 8 complaints between July 1st and July 7th. Most of those we weren't able to locate where the fireworks were being discharged, so they were short incidents. One person was cited for discharging. We had a complainant on that, and they said it was a prolonged event, so we did have to take action. Moving on, cameras. I had an opportunity to talk to the mayor. He approved for me to go ahead with the cameras. I signed paperwork for that today. We're looking at about a 6 to 8 week delivery time. Then we can set up installation and move forward with getting all the equipment put in and having the program roll out. And I'll keep you guys posted as we move along with the process on that. Then I know we had talked about soliciting. I had an opportunity to review about 60 or so different ordinances. The range of times is very broad, but generally it falls somewhere between 6 p.m. and sunset, and I would leave that open to council to kind of determine what they feel a reasonable time is, and then I can suggest those changes and send them over to Mr. Lallo.
Pertaining to that, would you want to, Councilman Schultz, you brought that up, do you think sunset's good, or do you think, because obviously with the sunset can be 5:30 to 9:10, so.
Yeah, I don't. Chief, did you notice any differences in the seasons of the year relative to any timeframes?
I think there was only one city that kind of delineated on seasonal change based on daylight savings time. Other than that, everything was kind of a set. Either it was a sunset or just kind of that range from between 6 and 9. So they were all over the place.
I would throw out there for the group to consider maybe 7 o'clock or 7:30.
I would say just I built my business off of door knocking in Kirtland. I think because people are home from 5 to 8, that's like your window.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying is, know it's not convenient and I didn't like doing it, but 5 to 8 was like when people got home from work, because no one's home during the day. And you can't solicit or
Yeah.
just introduce, I mean, like, I didn't go selling stuff, I just went introducing myself.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at. I think 8's a good cutoff. 7 is pushing it because people are still getting home
I
from work.
understand. That's
I'd
right.
say 8's a good number.
Yeah.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
I would even say from a campaigning perspective, when I was going out and meeting people in the community, like you can't really do that before 5 o'clock. And then you worry about them having dinner and you think, okay, if I just go from 7 to 8,
Right.
like,
Does it in fact apply to canvassing, political canvassing?
Yeah, I believe it's canvassing or soliciting.
Okay.
so Kevin's like 10 o'clock.
9 was always my cutoff, but okay.
It's just, you know, you get people at those times. You can see when.
Okay.
Councilman Smolik, what's your opinion?
I would concur, probably 8 o'clock, for what, for Mr. Ziegler said on that. I'd say 7 to 8, but at 8 o'clock probably. What do you think,
Eight's
Mr. Lallo? What would you think, Chief, on that too, with 8 o'clock?
I think any recommendation is reasonable. It's a matter of what you feel like the city's willing to tolerate. And just to add to that, we are currently having shipped, I made no soliciting stickers with the ordinance and the department logo on it. Those are going to be made available to the public. They're going to come to the station to fill out a form if they don't want solicitors at their residence. And we will have a running list that will be given to the solicitors when they do get permits. That way, those will be no-knock residences where they cannot go. And then if they do go there, we will be able to take action on them because they'll have the sign posted and all the solicitors will be given that list. So those that are adamant that they don't want people coming to their door should take part in that program, and that way it'll ensure that people aren't going to their house.
I think we have to make that decision tonight at all, maybe discuss it with the residents and stuff, or do you
I think we could propose a time. It's 7:30 or 8 o'clock to me. Either way, I'm fine either one.
Say 8 to 8. It's
So the current ordinance says 9 a.m.
okay, so 9 to 8.
Yeah. And it does cover canvassing and soliciting. So it's up to you guys how we want to do it.
Do we make a special exception for when there's council races going on, that type of thing? Just kidding. We should shorten it up in that period, actually.
Leave us alone.
You got 20 minutes.
And I'll ask just for, can we eliminate yard signs? That would be awesome. I know they tried that years ago, but that would be awesome to get rid of yard signs, just in general. But would you,
So
7:30, 8?
it's, you guys tell me, I mean, again, and then I can have legislation prepared for that August meeting.
I'm fine with
9 to 8.
8.
Ms.
8's
Grassi?
fine.
What do you like, 7:38, Ms. Grassi?
Hey, I think 8 is reasonable.
8's fine.
Yep, agreed.
All right, so I'll get something in the books.
Thank you.
Okay, on to, well, that was Chief McAllister. Anything else? Any other question for Chief?
I just, any update on the hiring, how that's going?
At this point, we've only taken in a couple of applications. We're going to start the background process with those individuals. I'm going over to Lakeland Community College tomorrow. They're graduating a class on the 21st. So I'm going to see if any of those that are graduating have jobs, or if they're looking for some type of part-time employment. So we may be able to screen some of the candidates from there to fill some of the gaps we're having.
Chief, Mayor, I just want to thank you for following up on the cameras and getting that moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Right. Any other questions for Chief McAllister? Thank you, Chief. Mr. Fenaro.
Good evening, everybody. Crews have been busy, still crack sealing. We tore out the police parking lot today, looking to pave it back in, hopefully this week, depending on the weather. And crews are also busy switching over seasons from baseball to soccer and football. That completes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Fenaro. Appreciate the updates today on the sewer main break over there.
I can give you a bridge update too. Sorry about that. Thank you, Mr. Schmalk. They're on schedule and they're looking to switch over late July, early August to the other. That's the 306 bridge.
Any questions for Mr. Fenaro?
Joe, did they, oh, I'm on. Did they say anything about that leaking?
They didn't say anything. I asked them about it and they weren't aware of it. So
Oh, okay.
we'll follow back up.
I don't know how they could not be aware, but awesome. Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Fenaro? Thank you, Joe. Mr. Courtney.
Thank you. I have no report tonight. I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Courtney? Thank you, Mr. Courtney. Round to Mr. Lallo.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I was finalizing public record requests from last week regarding a couple different cases. Sent those out today. Also have been working with the zoning department on a particular property with a zoning issue. Zoning violation has been issued. I know Mr. Morgano has hit the ground running in that regard and is working with numerous parties in trying to get that property in compliance. Aside from that, I have nothing further to add.
Thank you, Mr. Lallo. Any question for Mr. Lallo? Thank
Mr.
you.
Lallo's, the violation is, it's a monetary, kind of like a ticket, or it's a warning, or it's, you have X number of days.
So the way I understand, the one resident was here and she's alluded to this previously where it's $150 a day and whatnot. That's if a court orders it. We can't unilaterally do that. These people need due process. And the way we've outlined the process in the past is that we would issue the violation. Typically, the zoning inspector would then provide an opportunity to cure that violation because ultimately we want compliance with the city. But if there is no remedy or it's not fixed, then at that point you do file the case in court, and then the judge has the latitude to issue a fine up to X amount of dollars per day that the property was not in compliance. So it's not like we can unilaterally fine the person hundreds or thousands of dollars. The court would have to do that. But the ball is rolling in that regard.
Okay.
Where, yeah, it's just.
So the ball's rolling. So if it goes to the point where it gets to the court,
Yeah.
are we gonna make the recommendation of the fines per violation, or does the judge do it all?
The judge, so I, as the prosecutor, 'cause I'm also the prosecutor,
Right.
I would have the discretion to ask for whatever I deem is appropriate. The defense would have the opportunity to do that. Here's the other thing too, because it is a building or a company that owns the parcel. They actually have to hire an attorney. They can't just appear on their own. When you're involved in a criminal case, you have to have an attorney represent you. So they're going to have to pay for an attorney. But then at that point, so I'll have my recommendation. They'll have, I could say, I want, $100 a day, whatever it is. The maximum is $150.
Okay.
And then it'll be up to the judge or the magistrate to, because they might say, well, we think, we're in compliance now and we think we shouldn't be fined anything. So it'll be up to the judge or the magistrate to come up with a number if they choose to come up with a number. I've seen it handled a number of times where they've given no fines, right? They've issued a conviction and said, you're good now, no fine, right? But we could always ask for it.
Thank you.
Compliance is best. Yes.
Any other questions for Mr. Lallo? Thank you, Matt. On to Missouri.
Good evening, Council. Just a few quick things. It was a very, very busy day today at the Senior Center. I could barely walk through the lobby. There were so many people. We welcomed in the Perry Senior Center for our semi-annual chair volleyball tournament, which we again won. So go Kirtland. But it's always a pleasure to welcome our friends from around the county. It was wonderful having them. We also had about 55 people today for lunch. So it was a good kind of beginning of July party day. Just to let everyone know, if you did not see, the Chardon Polka Band concert was rescheduled for this Saturday, the 13th, between 3 and 5, which was the date that they're available. They book up very quickly in the summer. So we will have a gazebo concert this Saturday from 3 to 5. The next two will be the 17th with Blue Evolution. That actually, the concert begins at 6:30. It's a little bit earlier. And Perfect Choice will be on the 24th, and they will perform at 7 o'clock. So I just want to make sure everyone's aware of some upcoming city events, and I'm open for any questions.
Thank you, Missouri. Any questions for Teresa?
Are we
Thank you.
adding the chair volleyball victory to all the signs that go with the football and the soccer team?
I think we should. I did get a trophy made. So we do have a floating trophy. It's a little silly. Yes, but I love it.
Thank you. Mayor Potter.
Thank you, Council President Smolik. Just as I get going here, I did want to recognize, I wasn't here at last week's meeting, so I apologize, but I did want to recognize the fact that recently we lost a Kirtland legend, so to speak, in Junior Orrick. Junior, I think, settled in Kirtland back in the 1960s at some point. Opened up the Kirtland Barbershop over there in the plaza. Was there for many, many, many years, and many of us had our haircut by Junior monthly growing up. But not only was he a barber in the city of Kirtland, he was a business owner, obviously. He was an active member of the Kirtland Senior Center, not to mention an employee of the city of Kirtland. The Kirtland Senior Center, long-standing member, one of the original members in the Kirtland Kiwanis. Was, if you knew Junior, you knew that the guy always had a smile on his face, always positive, upbeat, had a great joke to tell, had an old story about Kirtland. I'm positive that there's not a person out there that had anything bad to say about Junior Orrick. So he will be greatly missed, and our hearts go out to Junior's family as they mourn Junior's loss. Speaking of my vacation, I do appreciate I had a chance to check in on the council meeting. At least I was able to see the city council pass legislation that would put an income tax adjustment opportunity as a charter amendment to our voters in the fall. So thanks to all the council members here that moved that along and got that, or helped get that to the ballot. We can have some discussions offline. I think would probably be most appropriate as to how we best work as a group to advocate for that charter amendment, as we know that if the voters do approve the up to a 0.25% income tax increase, that money is designated for roads specifically. Thanks to Mr. Lallo for his hard work and carefully chosen words to make the ballot language just as concise, so our voters have, little to no question as to, if approved, what those dollars will go to and for how long. It's a 20-year cap on that income tax. So anyhow, we can talk about that offline, but I just did want to recognize the fact that there's a lot of hard work went into the decision, just even what type of tax, if any, we were going to ask our voters to approve this year. And that was a very thoughtful dialogue throughout the budget process. Thanks to everybody for their input to get to that decision, and ultimately its passage, at least to give the voters an opportunity to say yes or no to hopefully once and for all kind of solve the road funding question that we've been all discussing here for more than a decade. So thank you. Eddie Eckert will be sending over a report in the next couple of days. Eddie and I and Mr. Lallo were on a long conversation just a few hours ago about some potential future economic development opportunities here in the city. I'll let Eddie's report speak for itself, but he's been pretty darn busy. And if you have any questions after Eddie sends out his report here in a few days, feel free to follow up with Eddie, and just please copy me if in fact you do have any questions, or feel free to call me directly as well as to the meaning of some of the discussion. Nothing else from me. I am open for questions. Oh, the federal government? That'll be something Eddie discusses. He's been in constant contact, regular contact with Congressman Joyce's office. I would say watch the national news as much as anything, but my suspicion, yeah, exactly. And actually that's a bad suggestion. But my guess would be, it would be into the fall, if not deep into the fall. I'd be surprised if they, I wonder if elected officials in Washington pass something before the upcoming November election, but I've been wrong before.
Any questions for the mayor? Thank you, Mayor. Hope you enjoyed your vacation. Definitely deserved it. On to standing committee reports. I believe we don't have any standing committee reports or any active. None at this time. On to correspondence. I don't believe there was any correspondence. Was there, Ms.
No.
Muscatello?
No.
Thank you. On to public comments on matters not on the agenda. We're up to the public. Nothing at this time. Thank you. Old business. Public comments on agenda items of old business. Any public comments on old business? Thank you. On to ordinance number 24-0-53, second reading. An ordinance amending codified sections 1294.04, 1294.05, 1294.06, 1294.07, 1294.08, 1294.09, 1294.10, 1294.11, 1294.12, and 1294.99 relating to riparian setbacks and declaring an emergency. This is second reading, so we'll go one more reading. Also public session, I believe, next time,
And
Mr.
there will be a public hearing.
Well,
There'll be a public hearing at that next meeting as well.
okay. Thank you. On to new business. Public comments on,
Mr. Smoke, with respect to the changes for that, is it highlighted in the P and Z minutes? You know, when I look at this, I don't necessarily know.
did we get was it a yellow copy? I can't remember. Was it a yellowed up?
I thought there was a
highlighted?
red line version that was sent.
I don't want to
I've
write.
got a
I mean,
brief summary
I
of the
thought there
changes
was.
if you want me to go through it.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Mr. Courtney.
Sure. Starting with 129404, we added a definition for inline pond and revised the definition of water course. I don't have the specifics on the revisions, Mr. Scholes, but if you can find the markup version, you can see what's been changed. 129405, we added a setback designation description related to the inline ponds that were added in the definitions. Section 129406 was added. It adds specific language related to applications and site plan submittal requirements. 129407, formerly 129406, we updated language related to various uses permitted in riparian setbacks. 129408, formerly 129407, we updated language related to parking lots and loading areas as prohibited use. And generally, we revised references of zoning inspector authority to a more general city authority throughout. We revised several instances of the applicant may to the applicant shall, if there are certain things to be done. And I believe the remainder are just section reference updates because of the shift by adding 129406.
Thank you. Is there anything in our ordinances relative to this that requires as-builts? And I'm thinking more along the lines of final elevation type of situations.
I know there's
They say
as-built-
the grading is this and it's not.
Yeah, as-built requirements for single-family homes, and I believe for single-site development, single-site type development, and subdivisions where we need as-built information on new utilities and detention ponds and so forth, but I do not believe there is anything in this ordinance for as-built.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Schultz. Any other questions pertaining to ordinance number 24-0-53? Thank you. On to new business. It's public comments on agenda items of new business. None at this time. On to ordinance number 25-0-54, an ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service to enter into a contract to purchase one Freightliner plow truck from Concord Road Equipment Manufacturing and declaring an emergency. And we decided we're going to go to a second reading with this one. Mr. Fernaro, second reading on that one. Thank you. Okay, and that concludes new agenda items. On to council comments. Any council comments at this point?
Can we step back just, I have a question on 054.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, Mayor, I know Lewis isn't here. I assume this is the cash purchase for the truck?
That is correct,
Okay,
Councilman Schultz.
thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Councilman Schultz. On to council comments again. Any council comments at this point? Not at this time. On to continuing concerns. Any continuing concerns? for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? That's Mr. Schultz.